Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're putting on our tech industry analyst hats to audit a massive, literally sweeping business claim from one of the biggest companies on Earth. We're going to look strictly at the data, the source material, and the actual product demos to separate the shiny marketing magic from the practical reality you're actually going to experience on your devices. All right, let's dive right in. And, well, here is the exact claim we're auditing today. Google has hyped up their Android 17 and related ecosystem releases as the biggest updates to Android ever. Now, that is an incredibly high bar to set for an operating system that historically has delivered smaller, more incremental updates year after year. So the absolute crucial question for us is, does the underlying technology actually match this aggressive marketing? Here's our roadmap for today. First, evaluating the biggest update. Second, Agentic AI, promise versus practice. Third, the privacy cost of convenience. Fourth, hardware branding, Google Books. And finally, number 5, the genuinely practical upgrades.
Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1, evaluating the biggest update, revolution or rebrand. Right off the bat, there's a really stark juxtaposition here. On one side, we have the marketing hype, the shiny promo video concepts like Agentic AI that supposedly runs your entire life with one click, along with entirely new hardware categories. But let's look at the grounded practical reality of Android 17 on the other side. We aren't really getting a massive visual redesign. Instead, we're getting incremental UI tweaks, like a sparkly, blurred Gemini interface that's currently just a concept UI. We're getting enhanced autofill and some very cool but temporary widgets. It's super important to anchor our expectations here before we get completely swept away by the promises.
Let me give you a perfect example of this. Take Google's new Smart Enhance for photos and videos. This brilliantly illustrates where marketing meets reality. Google claims this tool reveals breathtaking detail and clarity you didn't even know is there. But when you look at the actual output, it's honestly more like an overzealous airbrush. Sure, it makes the image brighter, and yes, it pulls detail out of the shadows, but it ends up flattening reality into a pancake, creating this featureless image without a hint of contrast or natural shadows. It's a prime analogy for AI overpromising, Technically impressive, but practically it just kind of looks worse.
Which brings us to Section 2, Agentic AI, promise versus practice.
So Google is really trying to position Gemini as a new intelligent system that takes actions on your behalf. Here's exactly how their idealized, totally frictionless AI assistant looks in their promotional demo. Step 1, a guy takes a picture of a concert poster and texts a friend. Step 2, Gemini Intelligence magically pops up a button saying book 2 floor seats. And Step 3, you click it once and boom, tickets purchased. It looks like absolute magic. But as an analyst, when I see a one-click solution to a complex financial transaction, alarm bells immediately start ringing. Because, let's be real, this slick promo video completely ignores the friction of the real world. Think about what trusting an overeager AI to make financial decisions actually requires. Are you really going to click buy without checking your bank account balances? Or cross-referencing your calendar to make sure you're even free that night? What about verifying the final checkout price with all those hidden fees? Or confirming you aren't sitting behind a giant concrete pillar? Generative AI has a very well-documented history of hallucinating facts. Trusting a one-click button to get the venue, date, price, and seats perfectly right is a massive leap of faith.
And the crazy part? Even Google knows this. When this exact skepticism was raised online, a Google representative going by the handle Dearbone actually replied and admitted it. They explicitly stated that, yeah, there should actually be more steps in the checkout process, but they just couldn't fit it all into the promo video. So that keeps us firmly in the skeptical category. As of right now, they're advertising a one-click magical reality that simply does not exist yet.
Let's transition to Section 3, the privacy cost of convenience.
To actually act on your behalf, Gemini needs to know almost everything about you across your entire system. Take the new autofill feature. Historically, autofill handled basic stuff, your name, your address, but now it can parse information from other Google services. So if you're filling out a complex form that asks for your passport number and you happen to have a photo of your passport just sitting in Google Photos, Android will automatically pull that exact number straight from the image and paste it into the form for you. No digging through your gallery whatsoever.
Now, it is undeniably incredibly convenient, but it raises a really critical question for us. For this deeply integrated Gemini ecosystem to function, you have to allow it to read your emails, scan your personal photos, and actively monitor your screen. So is that ultimate digital convenience worth the privacy trade-off of granting an AI that level of unlimited access? That's a question every single user is going to have to answer for themselves.
Moving right along to Section 4, hardware branding, Google Books.
So, what exactly is a Google Book? Let's do a strict business breakdown. A Google Book isn't actually a single laptop made by Google. It's a new generation of laptops made by partners like HP, Dell, Lenovo, and Asus. But when you look at the operating system, it's just the exact same Chrome OS and Android apps we already know. The real differences are deep Gemini integration, premium craftsmanship, a literal glowing RGB bar on the back, and a new navigation tool. So essentially, they're premium Chromebooks that just needed a shiny rebrand to sound new.
However, we absolutely have to give credit where it's due. The most interesting part of the Google Book is the AI-enabled cursor. It's a genuinely clever addition. You wiggle the cursor, and it transforms into this multimodal magic wand. You can click an image to learn about it, or drag multiple images together, combine them with a feature called Nano Banana, and visualize them instantly in Gemini. Because literally everyone already knows how to use a mouse pointer, this significantly lowers the barrier to entry for using complex AI tools. It's smart.
But here is the sticking point. Premium craftsmanship and a sick RGB glow bar come at a cost. While official pricing isn't locked in just yet, if these devices end up costing north of $1,000, we really have to question the value. A cool cursor and a glowing light might not justify a price point that rivals high-end Windows and Mac machines. They are seriously risking a repeat of the infamous overpriced Chromebook Pixel days.
All right, let's wrap things up with Section 5, the genuinely practical upgrades.
Let's drop the skepticism for a minute. Because beyond the overhyped Agentic AI and the pricey hardware rebrands, there are some immediate software wins here that will legitimately upgrade your daily experience. First up, custom temporary widgets. You can use natural language to ask Gemini to build a widget for an upcoming trip. It pulls in your flight info and weather automatically, and then it just disappears when the trip is over. It takes the complex customization Android is known for and makes it effortless. Second is Rambler. This is a new speech-to-text tool that actively removes your ums and likes, neatly stitching your rambling into a single coherent thought. And finally, expanded cross-platform AirDrop support. The ability to seamlessly drop a photo from an Android device, say a OnePlus 15 straight to a MacBook Pro, is a massive, highly functional win for sure.
Another really fascinating addition is a digital well-being feature called Pause Point. Standard screen time limits are usually blunt instruments, right? You hit a time limit and it just locks you out. Pause Point is a complete psychological shift. When you go to open an addictive app, it briefly pauses the launch. It asks you if this is really how you want to spend your time, suggests alternative apps, or even shows you custom photos to remind you to, quite literally, go touch some grass. It relies on mindfulness rather than strict lockouts, which is a super interesting new approach.
And finally, Android Auto is getting a much-needed visual overhaul to compete with Apple Maps, complete with specific lane guidance and building silhouettes. But the wildest feature here is the media integration. Imagine you're parked in your EV, charging up. You can watch full-screen HD YouTube right on your car's display. But the moment you shift into drive, within a single second, the video smoothly slides away and automatically transitions into a background audio podcast so you aren't distracted. It's a brilliant concept, though. As an analyst, I do have to wonder how flawlessly that GPS or drive state detection is actually going to work in real-world traffic.
So, looking at the entire landscape of Google's biggest Android update ever, we see a real mix. On one hand, incredibly practical tools, and on the other, highly ambitious, somewhat unproven AI promises. The technology is undeniably powerful, but it completely requires you to fully integrate your life into the Gemini ecosystem. Which leaves us with one final thought to consider. As these systems move from simple tools to proactive agents, are you ready to trade your digital autonomy and privacy for the promise of one-click convenience? Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the hype.